There's a certain danger that comes with legacy. Those names that carry the biggest weight often also carry the biggest pressure to deliver. Even people who don't really care a damn about basketball probably know about NBA Jam. I certainly did when I was growing up. You know, with those ridiculous flaming dunks or exaggerated arcade action. And that's the biggest problem with basically any sports game when you try to cram it into the Game Boy. I shudder with terror at the memory of FIFA International Soccer or NFL Quarterback Club for the original DMG, and we've already taken a look at 3 NFL Blitz titles for the Game Boy Color, and, well, just look at these scores that I gave them. They're out of 30, if you were wondering, so not good in other words. If you were looking for something to buck the trend, well, NBA Jam 99 is not that game. It's yet another in the seemingly endless Mr. Irrelevance that inherited the name of a superstar but ended up playing like a bench warmer. The Game Boy Color port of NBA Jam 99 arrived at a peculiar point in the franchise. Jam had just started to pivot away from its over-the-top roots and was trying to craft something a little more serious. It was a strange fit for a brand known for defying realism, but you could argue that for the N64 version at least, it was an ambition that could have been met. Whether it did or not, I don't know, I've never played it. All of a sudden, you have on your hands a solid competitor to NBA Live or NBA Courtside. On the GBC though, you were always going to struggle to get any level of realistic simulation anyway, regardless of the branding, so the mere existence of this port in the fashion that it ended up is a little head-scratching. Trying to force realism onto hardware that can barely simulate depth of field, let alone strategic basketball, is just never going to work. The first thing that doesn't work very well, and it doesn't look that bad in the video, but just play the game and you'll see what I mean, is the perspective, and it just sets the theme in motion. Tried something, didn't work, bon appetit. Rather than top-down or straight-up side-on, like would have been safer, there's this strange double-angled perspective that elongates the court on both sides. I mean, you can see what they were going for. It's this attempt to emulate a depth of field or some kind of perspective, but it strays into the isometric. And we all know my feelings on that on the Game Boy. Thing is, it's isometric in one direction on the left side, not at all in the middle, and isometric again on the right side, but in the opposite direction. Like I say, you can see what they were going for, and in theory, yeah, that is a compromise that you can make between keeping things readable while also trying to give the player some visual depth. In practice though, all that happened was that it ended up making your movements bloody awkward. The D-pad isn't really designed for these quick-fire diagonal inputs, and so more often than not you're just fighting the controls in order to move in a straight line. There is a sense where realism is victorious, however. The AI is professional baller standard. The thing is, you're not. It's realistic in the sense that if you and your buddy were on a court opposite LBJ and Curry, you'd get your asses handed to you as well. Fair enough, the opponents rarely go for a three-pointer, at least they don't on easy difficulty anyway, but they will score with every other shot, and defense is a thing only in theory here. Blocking is technically in the game, as in you can press the button and the guy does the animation movement, but, and let me be quite plain here, you will not block anything. It literally never works. The other guy will just weave past you with consummate ease. Simply loiter around the opponent's hoop and jump up using B on any of their shots to intercept any rebounds that may happen. It happens occasionally. When you're on attack, do go for those three-pointers. It's really not that hard a rhythm to get down, because most of the time the opponents will hit a simpler shot for 2 points. If you can nail down the solid three-pointers more often than not, you might just stand a chance of winning. Otherwise, and in my case, it's probably not gonna happen. The graphics have still really not made any strides into the realm of impressive, but probably it's not far away from max output for the system. I don't know, maybe that's a little harsh on the Game Boy Color. I mean, it's certainly got its charm, for sure. Sound quality, well, this is basically the dregs, isn't it? The Game Boy Color could definitely do more than this. I would certainly turn the music off if it's an option. I didn't actually check if it was. The in-game music is very poor indeed, incredibly irritating, and the crowd noise is on the low end of about as good as it gets. What's perhaps weird, after everything I've just said, for all its awkwardness and roughness, NBA Jam 99 isn't even close to being the worst basketball game on Game Boys so far. It's somewhere in the middle probably, which isn't really a compliment, let's be real. It's more of a sad indictment on the state of GB sports games. And I mean, it's not entirely without merit. There is a sort of charm, I guess, to the ambition the development team had. And hey, to their credit, they did manage to cram in whole team rosters, individual player stats, pixelated but recognizable images. There are fouls programmed into the game, and even a shot clock. There's not a lot of fun to be had here, but it is at least playable. After a fashion, you couldn't always say that. It compares all right to its handheld contemporaries, which is something to hang a hat on, I suppose. It's mostly let down by what we talked about at the top of this video, its legacy and its name value. It suffers most when compared to its own namesake. Too ambitious, yet somehow still too generic. A really weird and unsatisfying juxtaposition.